Good evening. Welcome to tonight's BZA hearing for February the 11th. Call the roll, please.
Rob Tidrow,
Here.
Nathan Sheets,
Here.
Sherry Oler Hemingway,
Here.
Josh Imhoff,
Here.
Jeff Cook.
Here. If everybody would stand and state the pledge with me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We did receive the minutes for our 1/14/2026 meeting. If there's no additions or corrections, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
A motion, a second, to approve the 1/14/2026 meeting minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We have proof of publication.
Yes, thank you. We do have a proof of publication. It states the time, date, place, and it does state the items being BZA 6/2026 and BZA 8/2026. Those two items are correctly on the agenda for public hearing. And I can just simply ask for a motion to accept a proof of publication unless you want me to elaborate further on the record.
I think we need to elaborate for BZA 26 now, and
Yes, 6/2026 and 8/2026 will be heard tonight with public hearings. BZA 7/2026, it will be presented, but then it will not be held on public hearing and it will not have a vote. It will be re-presented again at the March meeting, along with a counterpart application. So as far as this particular proof of publication containing the proper public hearings for BZA 6 and BZA 8, I would ask the board to make a motion to accept the proof of publication.
I hear a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the proof of publication.
Second.
A motion, a second, to approve the proof of publication for BZA 6/2026 and BZA 8/2026. And we will hear BZA 2026, the presentation, but not the public hearing. All in favor, say aye. Aye. I am going to move to new business, and due to a conflict of interest, I have to recuse myself from BZA 6/2026, so Rob will handle that hearing, and then I'll come back for 7 and 8.
All right, thank you, Mr. Cook. BZA 6/2026, petition of Reed Hospital and Healthcare, owner and Green Sign Company agent, requesting a variance of development standards to allow a 30-foot pole sign with 114 square feet of signage in the General Commercial North Corridor Overlay, GC, District at 2110 Chester Boulevard, Richmond, Indiana. Do we have an agent here or someone to speak on behalf of Reed? If you come to the podium, state your name and address, please.
Lauren Obendorf, 1045 East Freeland Road, Greensburg, Indiana.
Okay. And then if you could just describe the petition here.
My name is Lauren Obendorf. I'm here on behalf of Culvers. Thank you for your time this evening. We're requesting a variance of the development standards to allow for the installation of a 30-foot tall pylon pole sign within the North Corridor District. The proposed sign includes a 64.14 square foot static cabinet and a 50 square foot electric message center for a total sign area of 114.14 square feet. This request is driven by the functional needs of the corridor. The North Corridor is a 4-lane plus 1 center turning lane, 40-mile-per-hour commercial roadway. Due to the vehicle speeds, roadway width, building setbacks, and surrounding development, a shorter or smaller sign would not provide adequate visibility for approaching motorists. Drivers need sufficient reaction time to safely identify the site and make turning decisions. Without the requested height and area, visibility would be limited, which can lead to last-minute lane changes or missed entrances. The The proposed dimensions are proportional to the scale of the roadway and consistent with the commercial development patterns in similar corridor environments. The proposed sign will be professionally designed, constructed with high-quality materials. It will not alter the character of the district, impair adjacent properties, or negatively impact public safety. This request supports clear identification, traffic safety, and continued investment in the North Corridor. For those reasons, we respectfully request approval of the variance to allow the 30-foot height and 114.14 square feet of total sign area. Thank you.
Any questions from the committee? Hearing none, so we'll open public hearing now. If anyone is here to speak on behalf of, in favor of this proposal, please step forward. Seeing anyone would like to speak against it, please step forward. I see none, so I'm going to close public hearing. I'm going to ask for the staff report, please.
The petition of Reed Hospital and Healthcare, owner Bob Goins, agent, location 2110 Chester Boulevard, variance of development standards to allow a 30-foot pole sign with a signage area of 114.14 square feet in the general commercial district, also known as the North Corridor Overlay. Zoning to the north, general commercial, to the east and west, general commercial, to the south, institutional. Land use to the north is commercial CVS, to the south is Friends Fellowship Community, to the east, Taco Bell, First National Bank, and to the west is Richmond, Indiana PropCo, a nursing home. Pole signs are disallowed in the North Corridor Overlay District, and pole signs shall not exceed 20 feet above the ground and shall not have a sign area greater than 100 square feet. The proposed variance would allow a freestanding pole that is 30 feet tall and an overall signage area of 114.14 square feet in the North Corridor Overlay District, which does not permit pole signs. On January 30th, 2026, 18 adjacent property owners were notified about the variance of public hearing by mail. On January 28th, 2026, the public hearing was advertised in the Western Wayne News.
We received one response in opposed. Greetings. I oppose the variance for Culver's to erect a 30-foot tall sign and the square footage of 114 feet. I also oppose the use of a digital sign. I believe it's important to be cohesive with the other properties, as it can be an eyesore if it's not. All businesses around there follow the standard of under 20 feet tall, 25 feet tall, under 100 square feet sign, and no digital signage. The following businesses comply with this: Taco Bell, McDonald's, Wendy's, Hardee's, Chipotle, Subway, Carver's, Meijer, even Reed Hospital. Furthermore, this intersection and 27 Engle Drive is a busy road, and I believe a large digital sign would be a dangerous distraction for drivers. This is from James Meyer, 2105 Chester Boulevard.
Staff recommends approving the petition to approve the 30-foot pole with the 114.14 square foot of signage. Upon these findings of facts, the approval of the variance will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because the proposed sign is designed to improve visibility and safe wayfinding for motorists. It will be professionally installed, featuring a steel-reinforced center pole, will not obstruct sight lines or negatively impact surrounding properties. The signage is consistent with existing signs in the area and supports orderly development. CVS is 24 feet tall with 92.40 square feet of signage. Brady Ware is 24 feet tall with 92.40 square feet of signage, and Taco Bell is 35 feet tall and 96 square feet of signage. The use and the value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because the proposed sign is consistent with existing commercial signage in the area and is appropriately scaled to the site. It will not create visual clutter, obstruct views, or generate negative impacts on neighboring properties. The strict application of the terms of the ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property because, due to the property's distance from the public right-of-way and surrounding commercial development, a sign limited to the permitted ground sign standards would not provide reasonable visibility or site identification for a permitted general commercial use. As a result, the property cannot be reasonably identified from the roadway without relief from the applicable height and sign type standards. The requested variance to allow a 30-foot freestanding pole sign with 114 square feet of sign area represents the minimum relief necessary to address the practical difficulty and is not the result of a self-created condition. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the commission? I have a question. When does this sign, when do you plan to do this sign, erect it?
Bob Goins, 4450 West, 900 South, Pendleton, Indiana. That would be done, we would hope to start building that Culver's Restaurant then within the next 30 days. And
Okay.
it takes about 4 months to build, and it would probably be installed around the third month of construction. So we're about 4 months out.
Okay.
Approximately.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, at this point, I'll entertain a motion for BZA 6-2026.
I'll make a motion to approve BZA 6-2026 based on the finding of facts in the staff report.
I second that motion.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Can we get a polling of the votes, please?
Rob Tidrow,
Yes.
Nathan Sheets.
Yes.
Sherry Oler Hemingway,
Yes.
Josh Imhoff.
Yes.
Okay, so we got 4 votes, none. Motion passes. Thank you. Did you call for him?
Yeah.
Thanks, Rob. With that, we can move to BZA 7-26, 2026, and hear the petition from the petitioner.
Let's see.
Sarah Aldruby, 6045 Schooler Drive, Whitestown, Indiana. I am with Flaherty & Collins, design manager, and sorry about the confusion about this whole setup, and thank you for giving me a chance to at least present 2 of them. So we are requesting for our signage to be off of the center of our main entrance by an extra, you have a maximum of 10 feet. We're asking for extra 3 feet to make it 13 total. And the reason for that is because our structural tubing is coming through that area and it's centered in a stairwell, moving the signage away from the main entrance, which has actual units above it. And that way we have it placed where it doesn't project a lot of light where the units adjacent to the signage would be. It's not obviously going to be bright because of residents there. The structure is the main driver for most of our variances. And the other variance we're asking for is to have the total area of 48.75 square feet because of the design of the sign itself. Instead of it being wide, it's elongated. Everything is vertical instead of horizontal. Same reason we don't want to project into the path, the right-of-way. Also structurally, it's more sound to attach it to that one steel tube. And we recently found out the issue about the height recently from the canopy, saying that they need to reattach to the building. And that's why we found out as they're fabricating and producing those drawings that we need to attach that one portion back to the building, which extends, the cable extend about 3 feet above. So next month, since we're already talking about all three of them, if that's okay, to add, instead of 13, the minimum of 13, our signage will start at 17 instead. And we're under construction. I'm sure everyone is inconvenienced by the one-lane situation downtown. So, and I know we can't make any decisions or hear anything, but that's all I have.
Thank you.
All right.
So I'll just repeat that since this is going to be held next month, if there's anybody in the audience wishing to speak on this particular application, that will be continued until next month.
Thank you, Kim. With that, we'll move to BZA 8, 2026, petition of Rock Solid Ministries. Dave Eels.
David Eels, 2511 West Main Street, Richmond, Indiana. Requesting a variance of use to allow a homeless shelter on the second floor at Rock Solid Ministries at 1024 East Main Street. This homeless shelter would be primarily for men that want to get out of the homeless lifestyle and want to get into a productive lifestyle where they can have a place of their own and have a steady flow of income. We've noticed, we are open during the week downstairs, and we've seen a lot of men come in that don't really have, they don't have addiction issues per se. They don't have anything else except that they've just fallen on hard times, and they have a hard time finding a place to start. They don't know where to start to get their life rebuilt. And we have opened the Refuge of Hope was in 2020, 6 years ago. And it's been very successful. Over 350 women have went through that shelter, and I think over 110 of them now have, they're not all in our area, but 110 of them now have their own places to live. They have employment. They use a program we developed called Next Step, and it can be for men or women. So we're going to, since it's a proven program, she graciously worked all the bugs out of it for me. I'll use the same program, Next Step, and it basically starts at ground zero, which is identification, and just tries to rebuild bridges that maybe the person has burnt in the past and moves them forward and helps them look for work, find work, and then saves money as they are getting paid, saves their money for them so that when they leave the program, they'll have enough money to, this is how Refuge works. And it's, how Belcher House, that's the name of it, by the way, is Belcher House. Till they save enough money to have enough to put if there's a damage deposit required or a first month's rent down to get into their apartment, and also have enough cash left over to pay the first month's bills. That's when we'll help move them out. So that's the plan. We anticipate the program probably not lasting more than a year for any one individual, but it'll also be a homeless shelter just for men who are homeless. I know Hope House is about a block and a half away. They have a limited amount of seating, or not seating, but a limited amount of beds, and we would not require a picture ID for the person to come in. If they came into our program, they would have to get one, and nor would we require them to have a picture ID from Wayne County to come in.
Questions to the petitioner,
I have a question,
please.
a comment. I think what you do there is great, so keep up the good work.
Thank you.
And how many homeless would be able to stay there at night?
I've got some copies of the floor plan if you're interested in having them, but if you count, we're going to utilize bunk beds, and from what I've drawn up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we can hold 14 men. Yeah. Right now, we have anywhere from 10 to 20 folks come in every day during the week at the church, and about two-thirds of them are men. And probably half of that group could easily be identified as people that could benefit from this program. So I don't know if it would ever be full. In bad weather like we've had lately, it would be. And it certainly could operate as an overflow in bad weather for the warming center and also for Hope House. So, because we're all kind of right there together.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions of the petitioner?
Just one. Dave, how many shelter beds are there available? You mentioned Hope House, but how many shelter beds are there available in Richmond or Wayne County that you know of?
Oh, Lord. Not sure how many Hope House has. I've heard anything from 10 to 12, 13. Refuge of Hope next door, we have 16 beds. But we have a lot of open space, and we have bunk beds, so, or not bunk beds, but cots, nice cots that we can open up. So it's, Refuge of Hope also operates as an emergency shelter for folks that are, burnt out of their house or flooded out of their house or whatever, or if they have substandard heating or air conditioning, a woman can come there, bring her children with her, and stay there. So we would function the same way. We would be kind of a emergency shelter also. So I would say within the city limits, it's the only two shelters I know of is Hope House and Refuge, probably less than 40 beds.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have another one, General. What's the age? Like minimum
18 and
age?
up.
18 and up. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thanks, Dave. Yes. With that, we'll open public hearing. If anybody wishes to speak for this petition or against, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak this evening in front of you. My name is Mike. Last name is Shaney, S-C-H-A-N-E-Y. I own property at Main and 11th. We are a retail operation, a pawn shop across the street. We have Roxy's, which I think is infamously well-known here in Richmond, and it is a retail operation. One of the problems that we have in a retail operation is we're in direct competition with other people that are also vying for the same dollar. People have the opportunity to go spend their money wherever they want. And in 2020, when I purchased these properties and started improving the properties and making the properties look nice and cleaning things up, my wife and I had a vision of Richmond was up and coming, the street was open, things were happening. We've had all this infrastructure work. And unfortunately, because of all the infrastructure work, it has choked off a lot of the people that are coming from outside the area. With the infrastructure being cut off, we saw our business drop over the last 5 years. It's dropped almost 50%. People just don't want to come downtown, and that's one problem by itself. The other problem is, as with Rock Solid, and I was part of the group that tried to keep them from doing what they're doing now with the homeless shelter that's there. It changes what happens when people get out of their car and they see what they see when we have people that are behaving badly and there's no recourse to be able to do anything about it. It's a draw into a retail business area that turns people off. And I have personally had to go out and walk people to their car because they're afraid because of the actions of the things that are happening outside. People throwing things, yelling, screaming, cursing. It goes on. I'm there all the time. My employees have also had to deal with combative people that come in. We never had this problem before. I shouldn't say never. It was on a much, much lower level. But now it's like a magnet. The trustee's office has just moved in next door, and we're seeing a little bit different crowd that's coming in from that. It hasn't been terrible since they've been there. I was a little bit leery of that in the beginning. But in this commercial residential area where we have retail and we have people living there, this element that comes in, and these are the ragged people, and I have great empathy for people that need help, but not in a business district. It turns people off. They're going to go someplace else. And like I say, we've seen the decline in business. We've had problems. We take care of a lot of things ourselves instead of calling the police, and maybe that's a mistake. Maybe what we should start doing is every time we have a problem, we should get the police involved so that we could get enough reports to be able to show that this is becoming more and more negative as we go along. We already have needle exchanges, we have all this stuff going on around us, and it's sort of a out of sight, out of mind thing when it comes to retail, for the same reasons that you wouldn't want to do this in a shopping center or a mall. You don't want to do that in a business district where we have restaurants, we have retail sales. In the wintertime, when it's cold and people can't get inside, they want to hang out in the businesses. In the summer, when it's hot, they want to come into the businesses. And they don't go very far. They also have friends. Friends come in, it becomes more and more of a problem. I lost a $1,000 plate glass window because somebody decided to put a brick in a backpack and smash the window. And when Officer Stevens showed up and I showed him the video, he goes, "Oh, that's so-and-so. He's the homeless guy, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, we could go arrest him, but they're just going to turn him loose. He has no means to pay." Well, I pay my insurance, and I have a high deductible, so I had to pay that $1,000. Nobody else had to pay it. I had to pay it. It wouldn't have happened had he not been there. We're bringing an element into the area, and there's enough there now. We don't want to add to it, and we don't want to add an additional draw. I think it's wonderful that people are able to go through the program, move on with their lives, but this is not the area to be doing it in. And with that, I wish you would just take that into consideration. I want to see Richmond thrive. I want to see Richmond thrive for everyone. But in a retail area, we've got this new housing development that's going in over here where the Elder Beerman used to be. I want people to be able to walk down from where I'm at to shop in my stores, to go to the dance studio that's next door, take their little girls. These things all become a problem when we bring in an element that is not controlled. And yes, when they're inside, they're very controlled. But once they go outside and they don't travel far, it becomes a problem for us as retailers. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak?
Angel Nunez, 1032 South 23rd Street. I work across the street from Refuge of Hope / Rock Slaughter Ministries, and I've worked there for nearly 10 years now. And it is hard to exaggerate the severity with which we've seen these people rise and the severity of escalation in their behavior. Like he said, we're seeing a massive increase in attempted thievery, in property damage, litter, and vandalism. I myself have had to watch our employees pull used needles out of planters nearby. Well, obviously, we have our food trash. We have clothes left in front of businesses. We have God knows what left in front of businesses in bags, in backpacks, and boxes. We have empty buildings near these districts, which are already full of homeless anyways. It's hard to exaggerate the turnstile of businesses that we've had in the area. We're just now starting to get a few restaurants and a few other businesses in that area. Putting a homeless shelter right in the middle of our commercial district where businesses are trying to conduct business is not going to improve things. It's going to escalate this kind of behavior more. We've had to get physical with people. We've had to get police involved, like you said, with everything going on. So I hope you take that into consideration as well. It will escalate to an unfortunate level of aggression with these people moving in.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak? Please come up and state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Dane Bostrakovic. Live at 401 North 10th Street. I'm a proud American. I've served my country and the state of Indiana in the United States Army. And I am a proud patron of these businesses. And I've seen East Main Street, and I recognize the decline that these gentlemen have stated, that they're not making this up. It really is noticeable. I mean, you go down, drive down the street, you see it. I mean, I see, 8 a.m., 9 a.m.? There's 10, maybe 20 homeless people, standing in front of Rock Solid Ministry, waiting for a hot meal or, clothing or something like that. And I live down the street, North 10th Street, literally right down the street from East Main Street. And they're walking in and out, they're breaking into cars. You see the drug use. I'm not in the police department, but I considered joining the RPD, Richmond Police Department. And I remember during my interviews, they told me that they're increasing policemen because of the drug and the violence that's going on in this city. That's a fact. You might not believe that, but, there is a problem in Richmond. And it's really sad because, I talk to people that have been living here for, decades, in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s and even into the 80s. Richmond was a beautiful little town, was it not? I'm sure if you've been here for long enough, you can agree with that. It was safe, it was quiet, it was peaceful, and now there's drugs everywhere. And there's a drug problem. I work with my local church here with teenagers, and there's a problem with teenagers and doing drugs, getting caught with drugs in high school, right here at Richmond High or East, right? And, I think it's only going to get worse if you allow this church, Rock Solid Ministries, to do what they want to do. It's only going to bring in more. We're all human beings here, right? People talk. You don't think that one person's going to talk to another and say, hey, man, I'm able to get a bed over here and a hot meal and be able to, do this and that. And then now it's going to incentivize more drug addicts and homeless to come from different areas into here. You can see that in California. You can see that in New York City. You can see that in Michigan. You can see that all over the country. And it's only going to get worse, I believe. And I thought it was right for me to at least voice my opinion as a resident of this city, at least be heard, that I think it would be a grave mistake if you allow this church to do what they want to do. So, thank you. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? Hearing and seeing none, we'll close public hearing. Here's staff report.
Thank you. The petition of Rock Solid Ministries, owner David Eels, also agent, location 1024 East Main Street, requesting a variance of use to allow a rescue station homeless shelter for the men on the second floor in the general commercial district. Zoning in all directions, north, south, east, west, is general commercial. The land use to the north is a warehouse. To the south is a vacant building. To the east, it's vacant building, the Maranaka Shoe Store previously. And to the west is the dance studio. The proposed use of a homeless shelter is not permitted in the general commercial zoning district. The proposed variance would allow a rescue station / homeless shelter for men in the general commercial zoning district. The subject property located on East Main Street between North 10th and North 11th Streets was originally platted 1828 as C.W. Starr's Second Edition. Since 1901, this site has hosted various businesses, including bicycle and an automobile repair shop, a dry cleaner, Richmond Electric, before being purchased by Rock Solid Ministries. Rock Solid Ministries was established in 1999 to provide a place of worship and growth for formerly incarcerated individuals at 1351 Ratliff Street. In 2002, the ministry expanded its operation to 1024 East Main Street, while the Hope House of Richmond specifically serves men from Wayne County struggling with addiction. Rock Solid's shelter focuses on helping men overcome homelessness and become more productive citizens. Regarding the property's usage, Richmond's fire prevention officer has confirmed that the second floor of 1024 East Main has historically been used for residential purposes. And additionally, a variance was previously granted for the adjacent property at 1032 East Main Street as a women's shelter. It was BZA 5-2018. On January 28th, 2026, the public hearing was advertised in Western Wayne News. On January 30th, 2026, 24 adjacent property owners were notified about the variance and the public hearing by mail.
We received one response in favor, Susan Isaacs, 15 South 11th Street, Richmond. 2 opposed, Michael Shaney, Ray Talks LLC, 5 South 11th Street and 12 South 11th Street. A rescue station located within a retail or business district is in direct conflict with the purpose and sustainability of that area. For the same common sense reasons that emergency shelters and rescue stations are not placed inside shopping malls or commercial centers, this proposal is inappropriate for our downtown business district. While presented under the guise of caring for the helpless, placing a rescue station in this already struggling retail area would be detrimental to existing businesses. It would significantly increase the burden on the area that is already fighting to survive and would further damage its public image. Downtown retailers are already experiencing several severe challenges, including panhandling, aggressive begging, loitering, theft, disruptive behavior, and at times violent or combative incidents. These issues have directly affected employees, customers, and business owners. Introducing a rescue station would concentrate and amplify these problems, driving more customers away and reinforcing the perception that this is an undesirable place to shop or visit. I have personally had to intervene to protect my employees and customers. Employees who experience these incidents become traumatized and often quit. Paying customers share their negative experiences with others and do not return. These outcomes have real financial consequences for tax-paying businesses and residents, yet there are no corresponding consequences for the rescue station owners or operators. Most rescue stations operate as nonprofit organizations with 501c3 status, meaning they do not contribute to city services through taxes in the same way that for-profit businesses and residents do. However, their presence significantly increases demand on police, fire, ambulance, and other city services funded by the very businesses and residents whose livelihoods are being harmed. This proposal would add further strain to city resources while accelerating the decline of existing businesses, employment opportunities, and community safety. The long-term impact would be damaging not only to retailers, but also to employees, customers, residents, and the overall vitality of the downtown area. For these reasons and many others, I am firmly opposed to this petition. Excuse me. Opposed, William Medico Gaspar, concerned resident. It has been a few years since Rock Solid Ministries moved in on Main Street, and since their arrival here, we have seen a massive increase in crime, litter, property damage, and general vagrancy. You'd be hard-pressed to walk down Main Street between 9th and 15th without being harassed for money, asked to buy something, or see someone using drugs on the side of the road. This was a slowly rising trend a few years ago, but has recently skyrocketed in instance. While the idea of a shelter warming station or a needle exchange seems like a straightforward and sensible idea, the reality is that it attracts malcontent criminals as much as it does down on their luck families. Putting these kinds of facilities in the heart of our commercial district has already been proven to be a terrible idea. They mean well, but the harsh reality of the majority of people we, as residents of this neighborhood, see is that drug addicts, drug peddlers, mentally unstable people flock to these areas and set up camp both literally and figuratively. Citizens of Richmond see the almost humorous arrests of these individuals daily on Facebook pages and busted newspapers. It's not as humorous when it's your customers asking you to escort them to their cars, asking if they can remotely pay to avoid these people, or altogether avoiding your business because of the constant antagonization from these individuals, not to mention the constant vandalism and litter. I myself have had to pull used syringes, food waste, clothes, etc. out of our planters, windows, and ashtray. These are within reach and view of customers and their children even. I do commend the idea of their philanthropy, admittedly, giving food and shelter, giving food and clothing to help those in need is admirable, but having an unchecked, unmanaged free-for-all on Main Street is not how to do it. There are ways to control, manage, and be more efficient in getting decent folks help. There are several other food pantries, churches, and organizations that don't cause their neighborhoods to become slums. I urge Rock Solid Ministries to look to those and follow their example and their choices of location.
The planning staff consulted with all city departments and utilities, determined any objections based on public health and safety, and no objections were raised. Staff recommends approving the petition to allow a rescue homeless shelter for men in the general commercial zoning district upon these findings of facts. The approval of the variance will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because the property has historically been used for residential purposes. The proposed homeless shelter represents an extension of this residential use combined with a by right institutional use as a community center. The facility will be named Belcher House. Please note that it will provide services to men from any location rather than being restricted to residents of Wayne County. Number 2, the use and the value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because the second floor has been vacant for years and will be renovated and improved in such a way that adjacent property values will not be negatively impacted. Number 3, the need for the variance does arise from some condition peculiar to the property involved because homeless shelter is not defined by the UDO. This property has had residential use that lost their legal nonconformance. A homeless shelter functions as both a residential and an institutional use. Number 4, the strict application of the terms of the ordinance will constitute an unnecessary hardship if applied to the property because having once had residential uses and still having intact apartments, this facility is unable to pair residential uses such as temporary/transitional housing and homeless shelter with their permitted institutional uses. Number 5, the approval does not interfere substantially with Richmond Rising community action because the future's land use map identifies a subject property as urban mixed use moving forward. Among numerous land use attributes for the urban mixed use, this residential use is consistent with Richmond's comprehensive plan. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of the staff?
I have a question.
Please.
Mr. Eels, when do you plan to open this up? If it's approved tonight, when would you have it open for business?
Dave, if you would, come back to the mic, please.
I said that it's going to take some time because we have to raise funding and we have to get a state design release. And, I mean, we've been through all this with the women's shelter, so I know what all it takes.
Right.
It took us over a year to get that one up and running. I don't suspect this will be any different, and from the outside of the building, you won't even know it's in there. So nothing on the outside of the building is going to change. The door that leads upstairs is already there.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a couple of questions to staff. How is it determined that if this variance is approved, it would not substantially affect adjacent properties?
Because it was going to be on the second floor in a residential area that was used as residential before.
Just based on the residential use before? So, number 5, it does not interfere substantially with Richmond Rising. The future plan identifies as mixed use, urban mixed use, which my understanding of that definition of urban mixed use is both commercial, residential, homeowners, rentals as well, correct? Well, I applaud Mr. Yield's work with this community, this part of our community. I also hear what the business areas or business leaders in the area are saying as well. And I'm struggling with both sides of this personally. One side says these people need someplace to go, but is the proper place in downtown Richmond that we're trying to revitalize? Every single section of that area, whether it's the old Reedmore, whether it's the former Elder Beerman, whether it's, businesses that are existing, trying to survive in a tough market, competing with everywhere else that has easier parking, has surely a struggle in today's world, but yet the other side of me says, a couple wrong turns 40 years ago, and I might be in need of those services today myself. So I see both sides. I really can. So I am struggling to understand how this benefits the community. That's all I've got. Any other questions to staff?
Not as much a question as a comment, but the Richmond Comprehensive Plan, I could be wrong, but I wondered within the context of urban mixed use does include nonprofit organizations, and like the definition of businesses is pretty broad as it relates to the mixed use, I think, unless I could be disputed on that. And the other part of it is just calling into question the reality of, the conflict that gets created to do something in a sort of commercial district from a public service standpoint, such as a nonprofit, does bear with it the inability to do that in a residential district, as I understand it. And so I too, I feel the conflict, and I also simultaneously understand it's complex, especially with this particular issue. But I just wanted to highlight that I wonder about the reality of organizations that do work such as this. Isn't it so that they traditionally are in business districts? I don't know if that's a question anyone can answer, but.
I don't know that answer.
Is Reed a nonprofit?
Absolutely.
And they have medical, facilities all around.
Mm-hmm.
And they have people that are sick going in there, and dying, sometimes coming out positive, negative results. But They're a nonprofit too. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm just trying to,
Yeah, but-
I thought, yeah.
Right. Good question.
I have a question, if I may.
Please.
So what type of step, and I hear both sides, and I'm on the conflict train with them. What steps are currently being taken to try to prevent the complaints that they're having and the issues that they're having? What do we do? What can we do to make everybody happy? Is that possible?
No. I mean, I heard also what was being said, and we have had to call the police on people. And yes, there are people coming in that are probably criminal. But we don't stop people at the door and ask them if they are. And if they're hungry, we're going to feed them. So once they get outside the door, if there's something that starts outside, we have always called the police. But those things do not happen inside the building. If they escalate, we escort the person outside or call the police. So as far as the condition, there's never trash out in front of our church. We always pick it up after the meal or out back. We've improved the property that we're in from being a $75,000 building to a $220,000 building. We don't try, and the same thing goes with the shelter. We try to keep our properties looking nice, and we're not attracting, this is the same thing I heard with the women's shelter. We're not attracting people in. We're taking them off the street and trying to help them so that when they leave, they're not back in that same place where they were. I would say most of the people that I'm talking about are not the people that they're talking about. So it's not the drug addicts. In fact, if a person has a drug addiction or alcohol addiction, they're not going to be in our program. They will go somewhere else. So there will be no active drug users or alcohol users in Belcher House. We'll find another place for them to get treatment. So most of the people that would be there would be people that are just, like I said earlier, down on their luck. They can't find a place to stay. It's upstairs. It's in the back of the back of our building. Nothing on the outside of the building will check. You won't even know they're up there. And yes, they stay there during the day if they're in the program. If they're not, they get turned loose. And where they go after they leave our church, I can't control that, and nobody can. Nobody can expect me to control that. So I'm trying to improve their lives, and I feel by improving their lives, it improves the community. And if folks can't see that, then I don't know what to tell them. I hear the complaints they say that I cause, the problems I cause. I've never heard that from anybody else. Okay, and I hear people laughing and chuckling in the background when you folks are talking, and that's uncalled for because they've never been in my church. They've never asked me what I do. They've never seen what I do. Okay, so that should stop. This is not a place for that. And if you say no, you say no. I'll move on. If you say yes, I'll move on. But I guarantee you that if I move on, it'll be a program that does not cause problems, but seeks to try to solve them.
Has there been any coordination with RPD to try to increase patrols to
Yes.
decrease the activity?
Aaron Stevens in particular, yes. I meet with him regularly.
Okay.
And like I said, he knows us very well, not just because they had to call him a lot, but because they do come in and help out. And I'm a police chaplain, so I'm on the police department as a chaplain. So I know what they do. I understand what they do. And a lot of them are friends of mine. And like I said, anytime anything happens down there, we always try to de-escalate it before it gets outside the building. Yes, there's probably lots of things happening outside that building on that block after hours or when we're not there, even maybe when we are there that we don't know about. But I have cameras out back. I have cameras out front. I try to keep an eye on everything. I do the best I can. We've been down here 27 years, and I've never heard any of these complaints until tonight. Any other questions?
I don't have any.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions to the staff? If not, we will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve BZA 8-2026 based on staff report, finding the facts.
I'll second.
A motion and a second to approve BZA 8-2026 based on the staff report and findings of facts. Call the roll, please.
Rob Tidrow,
Aye.
Nathan Sheets,
Aye.
Sherry Oler Hemingway,
Aye.
Josh Imhoff,
No.
Jeff Cook.
No. Petition does pass 3-2. Good luck to you, Mr. Hills. Sir.
Sir?
Sir, please. This is still an open forum, and that's uncalled for. A continued outburst, I will call the police and have you taken to jail. So. Please do. We do have a couple of petitions for next month. March the 11th will be our hearing. We did have a filing deadline on February the 11th, and
As of now, we just have one, which would be the 6 Main that comes back.
it'll actually be two, right? So it'll be BZA 7 and,
She
or you're
mentioned
going to
three.
combine 7 with the height?
There were 3 variances they were asking for.
Okay,
Height from the ground, the actual sign area, and the height of the, or the replacement of the sign.
I apologize, I didn't read that because it said tabled, so
And
there are
for-
3 variances in BZA 7.
Yes,
Okay.
there will be when I amend it. Gordon has one that we were going to hear in January, and he's tabled it. I did not hear from him today if he was bringing that one back.
Okay.
But he could.
All right. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor, say aye.
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 We are adjourned.